Welcome to Next of Kin, the Parents Podcast. I'm your host, Emma. I'm a British expat living in Dubai, UAE, with my partner and baby girl. Join me on my expat motherhood journey. I'll be discussing different topics each week and we'll be joined by some wonderful guests. Now, if you're a mum, you're short on time, so let's jump right in. Welcome back to my final episode of season 1. Thank you as always for tuning in. I am so grateful for my wonderful listeners. I'm sure many of you are celebrating Christmas, so probably listening over the holidays. Perhaps you're listening on a flight back to your home country, excited to celebrate. Very, very exciting. We are actually staying put in Dubai. Last year, Bonnie was only tiny. I think she was like 2-3 months. But we went back to the UK last year and it was lovely. But this year she's 14 months old, so she still doesn't really get Christmas at all. So it's kind of our last Christmas where the pressure is off and we can just have like a chilled family Christmas, the three of us. For those not based in Dubai, I am always asked what Christmas is like over here. I think it surprises people to know that there is Christmas music in like all the shops, trees up, decorations, Christmas markets. But I must admit, I don't really feel hugely Christmassy when I'm here and it's kind of sunny out. It just doesn't feel the same. I feel like I need cold and dark nights and things like that to feel Christmassy. Then on actual Christmas Day, it is a bit different because in the UK, I kind of think about how the whole place is shut down, and if you do go out for a walk or you go out for dinner or something, you're all like festive, saying hi and Merry Christmas to everyone that walks past. But that's quite different here. For example, all like the shops will still be open as usual and Deliveroo. I mean, you can actually get your Christmas dinner delivered here. So we're half doing that. I'm picking it up from Duck Hook the day before. So Duck Hook is a popular roast spot at one of the golf clubs in Dubai Hills. And they do a good roast. So I thought we will get our roast from there, and I'm picking that up Christmas Eve. And then I just have to finish cooking it, or I guess like warming it up on Christmas Day. We'll probably then head out maybe to the beach, something like that. If we didn't have a toddler, we'd probably stay cozy at home watching Christmas films, but she'll be climbing the walls, so we'll be out and about. I am planning though to take time off for that Christmas week, which will be my first proper time off in a while. And I mean, I use words like chilled and time off here, but let's see how much chilling I actually get done when I'm running around after my busy toddler. But after such full-on months with the launch and everything, I will be trying to switch off, at least from the business if I can. The website's still going to be up and running anyway, as that gets fulfilled straight from the warehouse, so I don't really need to interject very much there. And I am going to spend this afternoon pre-scheduling some content, some newsletters, all of that good stuff so that everything's just automated and I can switch off. I mean, I'm sure you'll still be hearing from me on like Instagram stories, and my brain is basically constantly whirring with ideas. But all the real work, all of that, I mean, it's already been put on pause. We're at that stage in the year where anything that's like properly important, we put on pause, don't we, till the new year? Another big update is that Bonnie will be starting nursery in the new year. So just 2 mornings a week to start with, but she'll be having, I guess, a settling in period that first week that I've blocked out in my diary. So I guess it's going to be a slow start to ease myself back into work because I'll be focusing on that and getting her all settled to start with. But that is okay because I'm really trying to embrace this going forwards. I'm not going to lie, I've really been teetering on the edge of burnout for, I don't know, a good few months now. It's been a busy year for me, hasn't it? So I do need to make a few changes in the new year, and this is why I've decided to end season 1 of the podcast here. For those of you who are interested in podcasting and hearing about how people do it and the journey to becoming a podcaster, then I actually listened to a really interesting episode with Rhea from It Takes a Village. She was on the Mother Tongue podcast. So the 2 of my favourite Dubai-based parenting podcasts there rolled into one. What a treat. But they were chatting about starting out, and I mean, it's a fab episode. Go and have a listen. I'll put it in the show notes. But something that I noticed was that both of them mentioned that they were not doing all of the production and editing of their shows. They outsourced that, which is obviously very smart. But for me, this podcast it's not currently monetized or anything like that. It's pure passion project. And I don't have lots of money to put behind it. So I'm doing everything for it myself. This is all me, all the recording, the editing. And actually, I recorded as a guest on the Declutter podcast recently. Follow me on Instagram to hear when that's released. I think she said it'll probably be January. And my family are going to laugh so much that I was on a podcast that's about organising and decluttering, because I am notoriously untidy. Anyway, we recorded that in the Podster Studios, which you probably heard about if you're in Dubai, and it's the dream. It's so cool. They have such a fab setup there. They record it, they film it, they do all the editing, they just take care of everything for you. And I think it's blooming expensive, to be honest. So that is the dream. Maybe one day I will be in the Podster Studios. But for now, I'm just going to take a break so that I can use that time, especially for this pivotal first quarter of the year. If you're, again, not in Dubai, then you probably won't know that we've got a really short window to catch your customer here, because everyone heads off over summer. So I don't want to miss that and have to wait to start again in September. So that's really why I've had to have a bit of a reprioritize. It probably takes me a good full day a week, if I think about it, to do the podcast. And I just need to reprioritize and try and make some money. So, yeah, as I said before, I have the kind of brain that is constantly whirring with ideas, and I do already have guests signed up for season 2. So I doubt I will be gone for very long. So for my last episode of the season, I thought I'd take the format right back to my first episodes, where I used to do specific segments and then finish off with a mum lemma and a recommendation. And I would always start off by catching you up on where I'm at. And I've kind of already done that, haven't I? Bonnie's at a wonderful age. I love toddlerhood. It is very exhausting though. But on the business side, I've been very busy doing all the markets that I can fit in the lead up to Christmas. I've been told that this is the best time for markets, so I wanted to make the most of that. And actually, as stupid as it sounds to me now, I kind of expected that I would launch a website and then have a steady stream of sales roll in from that. But yeah, I do have sales from the website, but not this steady stream or volume that I had expected. My sales are mainly made at the markets, and this is exactly what I want to work on in January. But I've spoken to a few new brands recently who launched just after me, and they seem to have all gone through that same roller coaster, the emotions upon launching and how they launch and then expect again to just get loads of orders from a website. But why would you? Because people don't know you yet. But we all just assume that, right? And they were the exact same as me. So I know I'm not just completely deluded. So there has been a lot of big learnings over the last few months. And I need to now shift my energy and time from the selling at markets into working out how I can gain online sales through my website or other sites, because I know people really like to buy from established multi-brand sites, don't they? The other big roller coaster that I always chat about with these new brands is the markets themselves and that market day emotional roller coaster. I was chatting to a few new brands at actually the last Mint market I did, and we were all just laughing, saying that we can't hack it. You sit there, and at the start, you're all amped up and you're like, come on, can't wait for the customers, let's go. And then you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to make any sales. What if I don't get a sale at all? And then in your head, you're constantly doing the maths of, okay, so the table costs this much. So if I just make this much, at least I've made the table back. But I also kind of need to cover the cost of good. And when is it going to get profitable? And is this actually worth my time for 10 hours to stand here and make 600 dirhams? This is literally all that's going on in your head at the time. And then you get this absolute buzz when you do. The customer comes and they seem keen. And then they might say, oh, I'll shop online, or I'll be back later. And that's it. No, you've lost them. You will never hear from that customer again. But then you'll get a customer that comes out of nowhere who doesn't look anything like your usual customer and will just buy a load of things. So yeah, the balance also of not going to the loo, because you're not wanting to go to the loo and have your dream customer stop by. And also so yesterday I did a ripe market, and you always turn up and you don't know where they're going to put you. I mean, if you signed up for the whole season, I think you get a specific tent and all of that. But because I'm doing sporadic Sundays, I just have to go where I'm put. And yesterday they put me basically facing the corner. So I made barely any sales. And so, yeah, that's the other part of the emotional roller coaster. Are you going to be put in a good place? You don't really have much control over that. And I think I didn't appreciate how much time you put into before a market, the setup. It's not just packing up the car. You've got to make sure you've got everything, got all the stock, the amount of time I spend having to make sure I've got all the sizes and that visually it looks good. I could definitely do better on the visual side for the stands, I think. But hey, we'll look at that in the new year. So with the new year approaching and these changes coming up that I've already told you about, we can't avoid talking resolutions, can we? I'm trying to look at it differently this year. I'm not planning for January the 1st to come around and then me just make loads of changes that are not sustainable. It's always lose weight. Let's be honest, it's always lose weight. But I'm not doing that this year. I'm not going to step onto that usual cycle. We've all been there. And instead, I'm going to be a bit more holistic about it. So I took a step back and decided on what's working now, what's not, what my priorities are, and how I can also prioritize myself a bit better, what I can do to feel better in myself, and what I want for my business. 2 really good questions I find around this deciding on your goals for the year is, what are your top 5 priorities and what would you like to spend more time doing? So for me, firstly, I think, I want to spend more time with Bonnie, but actually I do spend a lot of time with Bonnie. So she can be in my priorities. She's top of my priorities. But what I want to spend more time doing is having time for myself. I have no self-care time at the moment. So that is what I want to spend more time doing for 2024. But let's start with the business whilst we're on that topic. Back in summer, I made an episode about changes I wanted to make to become a more productive and present mum and business owner. And I discussed being more present with Bonnie. I was reminding myself that I still needed to prioritise time spent with her and not get caught up pouring everything into the business. And I do keep coming back to that actually, and reminding myself that the whole reason that I'm doing this business is to be able to be as present as possible with her. I absolutely have been doing this and hustling at the same time, but it currently just isn't sustainable. As I said before, I'm always teetering on the edge of burnout. Actually, Bonnie's going to nursery, so this will play into that. She needs it now. My goodness, she's getting really bored at home. She needs that stimulation, that social development. Actually, funny story. So you just, at this age, you cannot keep up because by the time you've prepared an activity, they're bored of it and on to the next thing. The other day, I thought I would be a Pinterest mum and I was going to make some taste-safe paint. So I got some yellow food colouring, I got some corn flour, I think, and some water. That's how you make it. I mean, don't do this because I'll tell you why, but that's how you make it, just in case you need to know. And I set this out for her with a little brush, some paper, call her over. She walks over, basically just flips the paint everywhere, all over my lounge. And then as I'm trying to clean it up, she's sliding around in it. She bangs her head. Literally don't try and do nice things for your children. Just send them to nursery. The moral of the story. No, yeah, actually, seriously, don't do it. So I think for her, I mean, she's really developing that independence at the moment, and she is an explorer by nature. I've said before about how she's not really into her toys. She actually is getting back into her toys the last week or so, but she's more about exploring. And so I think she's going to absolutely love that about nursery, that they have not just the classroom, but they've got soft play, they've got outside, they've got a sensory room, they've got library, all these things. That's going to be totally up her alley. And it will also give me 5 straight uninterrupted hours to work on those days. and then we can spend the whole afternoon together. Of course, I am worried because I feel like at the moment that I work all day because we have a nanny. But if I really think about it, even though our nanny gets here at 8:30, I tend to be with Bonnie and don't really start work until 9:30. And then by 11:30, I've stopped to make her lunch, and I'll probably be with her till 1 a.m. So I'm maybe getting 2 hours done in the morning, whereas I'll have those 5 straight hours. So I reckon I can get quite a lot done with 5 hours of pure focus time. Also, mums fit so much more into time, don't they? It's a mum superpower. So I'm also just going to get more strategic with my planning when I am working. What's the saying? Like, work smarter, not harder. That's my plan. And when I'm with Bonnie, I'm going to give her my all and basically soak it all up. She has definitely clocked screens now, so I don't want her to see me glued to my phone, always checking things. You know, my excuse at the moment is that it's for work, it's social media. I've got to get back to people straight away. Oh, I've seen an order come in, I better go and check that. And actually, all of these things can wait like a couple of hours. The next goal for Bonnie and work will be Bonnie's sleep. So this is kind of moving on from what I've just said, because at the moment you're probably thinking, right, so you don't want to burn out, but you're going to give Bonnie your all and you're going to give work your all. So I need to find some time for me. As I said, I need to prioritize self-care. Self-care, like it just... I don't know why the phrase self-care just feels a bit yucky, doesn't it? But there we go. That's my plan. But I think the way I need to do that is for Bonnie to be sleeping in her own room and basically getting her to sleep better so that I get an evening and then I actually get an evening to myself. Or I really wouldn't mind working in the evening if she's in bed and we've had a lovely afternoon together and I want to get a bit more work done, that's fine. But I would also quite like to have an evening to just chill out and scroll on my phone mindlessly, if that's what I want to do, and watch some TV. And I don't really have this currently. So I think that moving her into her own room is imminent. It has been pointless so far because her sleep was that bad that she was waking up every 30, 40 minutes. Not every night, but a lot, and needing me to soothe her. And if I didn't soothe her, then she would be fully awake. So there was no just like leaving her to it, because then she'd just fully wake up and there'd be no chance of her going back to sleep for hours. So it was best for both of us to get the most sleep, for her to just be in with me. But I reckon she's going to get better soon. I'm working on it. And then on to me. So I'd like to lose 10 pounds, wouldn't we all? But actually, I am not going to make this a priority for the year. I'm going to be realistic and I'm not going to do some full-on diet at the moment. But actually what I am going to do is work with a health coach. So she already mentioned to me that it'll be more about balancing blood sugar and that kind of thing, with the goal being to make me feel as good as possible. So especially on little sleep, my go-to at the moment is sugar. I'm not a caffeine person, I am a sugar person. But the plan is to change my mindset, educate me, coach me through making healthier choices so that in turn I'll feel good in my clothes, I guess. Way better energy levels, glowing skin, all this good stuff. And maybe I'll lose the 10 pounds, maybe I won't, but hopefully I'll feel good in my body. And it's working on that self-care, isn't it? But I will team it with, I'm going to do a bit of weights, I think, because basically Bonnie is 13 kilograms and I need the strength to keep up with her. How am I going to rock her to sleep if I can't sustain holding her? So I definitely need to do some weights at this point. And actually, I keep hearing that we as women should be doing more weight training. So there we go. That's my plan. So there we go. That's my resolutions for the year in a nutshell. So I told you earlier that I was on the Declutter Me podcast recently. I'll put a link in bio because if you're into all that kind of organising content, then you'll probably really enjoy that. So go check it out. But I did a bit of preparation for that episode that actually we didn't get onto. The premise of the episode is about getting organised for baby, what you do, or maybe more importantly, what you don't need. I actually wrote a list of 10 items which are marketed as newborn essentials that I basically do not think are essential at all. And I wrote it for that podcast, but we didn't get onto it when we were recording. We ended up chatting all sorts of things. But I thought, why not use this, round out this podcast season with a bit of de-influencing. Hopefully this will be useful for my pregnant listeners and save some money for you. Before I get into it, I do have caveats. I think we all need to understand that the pregnant brain, the pregnant consumer is different, and that the products and the shopping for your newborn essentials is just a whole other ball game. With your first, especially, you've got these 9 months of anticipation and imagining and preparing, and for me, the shopping feeds into that. So these products all tie into you imagining the mum you want to be and how you're going to be with your baby. And what I really hate here is that the marketeers, I think, take advantage of mums. They know that you've basically never felt a love like it, so you want only the very best, and make you feel like, of course, you'll need a product and that everyone needs this product. And you have no experience to know otherwise, do you? So that said, my second caveat is that this is all based on my own experience, and yours and your baby will be totally different. So this is probably meaningless for you. I bet this list is going to outrage so many people, and that is fine. Let's just finish the season with some outrage. Go out with a bang. No, really, I'll just let you have fun judging my list. It's fine. You judge away. But what I would actually recommend is shopping or researching what you buy to your pregnant heart's content, but then putting off the purchase, because we live in a time of same day or next day delivery. You don't need to have it all prepared. We actually didn't get a next to me crib until I was literally in the hospital. I'd had Bonnie. I didn't think I needed one. And then as soon as I gave birth, I thought, actually, yeah, I do. So I quickly ordered one, and it was there on my doorstep when we got home. But hopefully this way it will save you buying things that you end up not needing. And my other recommendation is to buy secondhand. There are 3 things that are actually on this list that I thought were essential and actually just really tied into how I envisioned being a mum. Actually, those 3 things was the Docker top, the Baby Bjorn bouncer, and the stocky oval crib. Those 3 things I bought secondhand, and I just could imagine myself, with having the Docker top or her in her Baby Bjorn bouncer, me bouncing her away. Like it just fed into how I envisioned having a baby when I was pregnant, and she didn't like any of those things. So that's why it was good to have got them secondhand, because I then sold them for exactly the same amount I bought them for. And I mean, no bother, they just came to live with us for a bit, so it's fine. Anyway, enough of these caveats. Let's get into my list. Number 1 is a baby food maker. It's basically a steamer and a blender. You probably have a steamer and a blender, and if you don't, just get them. You actually puree stuff for such a short period of time, especially if you're doing baby-led weaning. So I am so glad I didn't get sucked into buying an actual baby food maker. And trust me, I did really look into them and research them, and it was Rich that said, I really don't think you need to get that. Like, just use the NutriBullet, and he was so right. Number 2 is a breast pump. I actually would hold off. I bought 3, so oh my God, I spent so much on them. And Bonnie just never took the milk, expressed. Okay, she did at the very start, but actually she didn't need to at the start. I just felt this weird pressure to have a supply, like a stash in the freezer. And I don't think I'm unique in this. I think a lot of breastfeeding mums feel like they're meant to have this stash in the freezer. And I'm still trying to figure out what to do with this stash that I have that she won't take. So I definitely wouldn't put the pressure on myself to pump again. For some reason, it can just be so soul-destroying pumping. And importantly, you need to measure your nipples, because I didn't for, 3 or 4 months. And I bought 2 pumps, which turned out that when I actually saw a lactation consultant, these pumps weren't right for me, and I ended up buying a whole new, more expensive pump because that was the right size for me. So yeah, breast pumps, minefield, no thanks. Number 3 is newborn baths or bath supports. You basically use them for no time at all, and then they outgrow them. And actually, I still found, I had the Angel Care one, which was great, but I still put a towel on it to pad it out, because it just seems so hard on a little tiny newborn otherwise. So if I was going to do it again, I would have just gotten more towels, laid them in the bath, made a really shallow bath, I made my own sort of toweling support in the bath for them. That's what I did like over Christmas when we were away and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I would do. I don't think I'd buy a baby bath. Number 4, a fancy steriliser. Maybe it would make sense if I exclusively bottle fed, but I didn't. But for me, unless this fancy steriliser is literally going to clean the bottles and sterilise and dry them for me, then nope. Like, they are so expensive, some of these things. Like, do we need UV? Like, I don't think we need UV. And I don't think people realise there are so many inexpensive options. Firstly, you could get the MAM bottles, which are self-sterilising in themselves. Just put them in the microwave. Then I actually started off with a cold water steriliser. So it's basically a bucket with some sterilising liquid. But then I didn't really like the idea of the chemicals. So I just sterilised in the microwave. And to be honest, that's what I would do if I was to do this again. But again, I was not exclusively bottle feeding. Number 5 is a fancy high chair. We really fell into this trap and it looks great, but it's a nightmare to clean. Oh my goodness. When thinking about high chairs, I think you basically need to decide based on your budget whether you're team IKEA, which is just super cheap, easy to hose down, or you're going to splurge on the stocky. I don't think you need to go in between. We basically should have gone IKEA, but I went for one that goes with our decor. And I regret that decision after every single meal. Number 6 is a changing table with the inbuilt changing mat bit. Just ask yourself, what are you planning to do with this in a couple of months' time when they start rolling or pushing themselves off? Like having that whole piece of furniture to put somewhere? No. We put a changing mat on the top of a chest of drawers and made like a little changing station there. And it only lasted, I think, 2 months because she was so wriggly that the safest thing to do was to change her on the floor. So I'm really glad we did not get a proper inbuilt changing table. Number 7, baby shoes. They fall off, you'll lose them instantly, completely pointless. Actually, on that note, the best socks that actually stay on are the M&S plain white ribbed ones. Number 8, a fancy baby monitor. I would ask you to have a think about how you feel about the ones that assess their breathing and everything. For me, the fact that they're not completely accurate and could have like false alarms or maybe, for me, even scarier, not catch it if it just scared me even more and it would add to my anxiety postpartum. But with baby monitors, you can really end up spending quite a lot, and I would suggest not going overboard there, and maybe even consider, if you're in Dubai, then you probably have cameras around your house. So, you can maybe use one of those in the baby's room instead. Number 9, so let's get into my last 2, which are my most controversial. Firstly, things to put your baby down in. We seem to be constantly told as new mums to put our baby in a cot, in a fancy bassinet, in a bassinet on a pram, into a bouncer, into a docker tot. Literally, the list goes on. I bought the baby bouncer. Bonnie hated it. I bought the docker tot. She hated it. A huge proportion of newborns are not going to want to be put down and aren't going to want to be in these things at all. Which leads me on to number 10, which is my most controversial. Number 10 is a pram. I know, I'm getting ridiculous now, but we actually just needed a baby carrier, strap it into that, and she was happy for the day. I am so glad I didn't splurge on a really fancy pram because she wouldn't go in a pram until, only recently, to be honest, and now not for that long because she wants to get out and run. Obviously here I have to remind you that all babies are different, but I just want to put that perspective out there or experience out there because you may, like me, have not considered that your baby might not go in a pram. At least put off maybe getting the newborn attachment, the bassinet, till they're here and that you can find out if their temperament will actually allow you to use it or not. I think we've got a difference here as well because in Dubai I can just use my Leclerc influencer, a travel pram everywhere because I'm just going on like manicured pavements and malls. Whereas when I was back in the UK, I could see why you would maybe want something a bit bigger and a bit more, like sturdy. So what do you think? Is this list completely outrageous? Which items do you totally disagree with me on? Which items did you think would be essential and then weren't at all? If you could DM me on Instagram, or you can email me podcast@nextofkin.ae, I'd love to know your lists. And maybe then I can put like a collaborative blog post together over on nextofkin.ae on the website, because it would be great to have that collaborative resource from loads of people's points of view. So I used to always close the show with 2 segments, a mum lemma, which is a motherhood related dilemma, and a recommendation. So that'll be this week's mum lemma. What were you told was an essential, which you found out isn't? I'll put the blog post together over on the website nextofkin.ae. Please get in touch on Instagram or the email. As for my recommendation for this week, do you know what I actually found to be essential that absolutely everyone in the world will disagree with me on? Literally everyone told me, do not buy that, you do not need that, that is such a waste of money, literally constantly, and I ignored them. But it was my feeding rocking chair. I absolutely love it. I got a secondhand Pottery Barn one and they are so comfy, but I don't just use it for feeding, like it's not sat in the corner of my nursery. I use it literally every day. I sit on there and work from it a lot of the time because it is so comfy. So there we go, that's my recommendation. No, seriously, my recommendation here is the secondhand market. You'll find so much brand new stuff on there, especially in Dubai. You can look in various places, from Facebook Marketplace to Bizzle. I find the mummy WhatsApp groups and the Facebook groups the best for secondhand, especially the groups for your area, so at least you don't have to travel far. There's also the Baby Bazaar, I think it's called, which is basically a flea market where you can buy a table and sell your old baby stuff. So that's a wrap on season 1. Thanks again to my wonderful listeners for tuning in. Thanks to my amazing guests. And I'll continue to share snippets over on my Instagram. Instagram's definitely the best place to find me and keep up with me. It's at nextofkin.ae. If you are in the market for baby clothes, then pop over to nextofkin.ae and use my code podcast10 for 10% off for all my lovely podcast listeners. I do have free UAE shipping. I ship to all GCC countries, and I've got more being added all the time. And actually, if you're listening to this when this goes live, then I will have just launched the sale as well. Please do get in touch, ready for season 2. You can DM me or email podcast@nextofkin.ae. And please follow the show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Please share with all your friends. I mean, what else can I tell you to do? Rate, review, subscribe. Anyway, take care.